This success story is actually pretty juicy because I denied it. It was crazy how I didn't accept this case, but somehow it weaved its way through and we still ended up taking it and we still ended up getting it approved. The case is regarding a family who came in as a tourist, overstayed it by a couple years, got married, and now the stepchildren and the parents got a green card.
So the applicant was a B1, B2 overstay.
Yep.
She married a U.S. citizen. I know you mentioned that you rejected the case initially, but then ultimately it was approved, and then her stepson got the green card too.
17 years old at the time, or I think 16 or 15 at the time. They both overstayed.
Yes.
Now the son is almost 17 years old. The mother gets married, and then they both file adjustment of status really quickly right after the marriage. And now they have to go to this interview, right? And so when I was looking at this case, I'm like, the officer is going to suspect the marriage is real or not. It's a visa overstay. She could be detained at the interview. This started happening last year in San Diego. It's ground zero for this, and it was potentially going to spread across the country. It didn't, but who knew, right? It was a really scary time. And also, you're trying to get 2 green cards, not just one. And does the father have a relationship with the child, and can he prove it? So many questions, and so I just said no. It's too hard.
On the surface, there were a lot of red flags because the petitioner, he had 2 prior marriages. This was the 3rd one.
Right.
He had already petitioned prior spouses.
Right.
Like you said, it was a short marriage. There was also a 20-year age gap. So this is one of those cases where USCIS looks at all of those things automatically, and they're definitely going to question. So I know Lisa was mentioning during the interview, they got separated.
Yes.
They had to do the Stokes interview.
Right.
And even then the applicant, she
said something wrong. Yeah. She answered a lot of personal questions incorrectly. She had a translator. It was not easy.
Right.
It was very stressful, but it got approved. I think it's just the officer discretion. I think the main benefit of these success stories is here's what happened, here's the case, here's the background, here's what we did. And so much of it depends on just doing good work and having faith, and you just don't know. Like I said, when I see the fact pattern for this case, I just said, I really don't think it's gonna work. I don't advise you to do it. If you get detained, now you and the child is gonna be locked up. You know, how are you guys gonna deal with that? You guys didn't come to America for this. It's such a scary time. The child is like about to go to college. There's so many things. Right after I declined it, at the same time, Grace and Lisa did the consultation, and they were able to take it, and they had confidence that it could work, even though it was really scary. So they were pushing through it. And then by the time it came to the interview, I was like, oh, I remember that case. I actually declined it. But somehow it worked through and the case got approved, you know? And so a lot of times it's the client's faith that it could succeed. It's different people's perspective. That's why it's much more art than it is science, right? And I'm so proud of the team.
I'm sure they must have given some answers that coincided. So even though they messed up, like I think at the end of the day, because usually they roll on like more likely than not to be true. Is that right? For these types of cases?
Right. But we've seen officers, you know, interpret them more likely than not differently than the normal human being, right? It's like, I need to know the marriage is real. You know, I only see 20 documents. I only see, 90% the answer is right. I need to be 100% sure. But the officer still adjudicated in the positive. Now, good things about the case, right? We said a lot of bad things. You know, smart mother, smart child, aging father, no criminal record. There's economic viability in the U.S. They'll work hard. It's like if you deny the case, deport this family, you kind of ruin their life. You know, are they really a harm to the United States? I feel like the officer did a big balancing act and approved the case within a week, within a month. You know. Now, with that being said, it's a 2-year green card. The fight is not over, right? 2 years from now, they have to file for 751. And if the marriage has fallen apart, if there's all these other things, they could still deny the green card at that time, you know? So it is just a temporary green card. But with that being said, I'm still very happy that they were not detained. They did not have to do ICE check-in. They did not have to fight this through immigration court. They did not have to do a super complex request for evidence. So much of it was the coaching beforehand so that they are confident so they go in. If they were just super scared the entire time, that increases the chance of denial, right? And so Lisa and Grace did a lot of coaching and prep, and the case got approved.
Yeah, and even though the officers seem to focus on the bona fide marriage part, I know that Grace and Lisa also coached them in regards to like the whole immigrant intent because
Yeah.
one of their children had, I think shortly after they got the B2 visa, he had enrolled in high school. So even though they didn't go in that direction, I think we did a lot of work because you just never know.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have gone the whole other way around and they could have been questioned for bona fide marriage, but at least they would have been prepared. And
Right.
I think that's
Yeah,
part of
they
the
could have
work.
been challenged on the tourist visa entry. They could have been challenged on the visa overstay. They could have been challenged on fraud, misrepresentation, and be required to file for a waiver, right? So, just unlawful presence on unlawful work, you married to a U.S. citizen, you don't have to apply for a waiver. But if you lied to an immigration officer, well, then now you have to apply for fraud, and then now you have to file for a 601 waiver with this application, right? So there's a lot of things that could have happened, but they were able to do it.